Mr. President, first Detroit Auto Show in 3 years.
Yeah.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Joe Biden appearing on CBS 60 Minutes for an interview about a wide range of topics. Some things we know about: the inflation, the economy, his age. He's like 1,000 years old. Are you even fit for the job anymore? There were quite a few questions asked of Joe Biden. And although this was pre-recorded, it wasn't a live stream, it wasn't a live interview, he still looked really, really bad. And there's only so much editing and makeup and lighting effects that you can do to make this man look good. I mean, you're talking about somebody that got pretty much 2 feet in. Okay, if that's going on, what can you really do to improve that? Not much. Now, we're going to roll some clips. All of these clips will be available in a link in the description box if you want to see them without my commentary. But we're going to go ahead and get through it here. The first one, I'm going to tee up. We're talking about the inflation because this was a doozy. I'm talking about a crazy response to the inflation question.
Mr. President, as you know, last Tuesday, the annual inflation rate came in at 8.3%. The stock market nosedived. People are shocked by their grocery bills. What can you do better and faster?
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective. Inflation rate month to month was just an inch, hardly at all.
You're not arguing that 8.3 is good news.
No, I'm not saying it is good news, but it was 8.2 or 8.2 before. I mean, it's not. I can make it sound like all of a sudden, my God, it went to 8.2%.
Sir, let's pause for a minute. I'm sorry, I got to step in right here. When Trump was in office, the last month of Trump, the inflation rate was like 1.4%. That was even with all the virus stuff they had done and the printing and the money. It was at 1.4% when Trump left. 1.4, 1.7. Now we're talking about what, 8.3? And he's talking about, well, it's not up that much from the month before. That's not even the point. The point is, under your administration, Mr. Biden, the inflation has gone through the roof. It was not that way under Trump. That's the whole issue. The month-to-month thing is not as important as from 2021 to right now in 2022. That's the biggest issue.
It's the highest inflation rate, Mr. President, in 40 years.
I got that. But guess what we are? We're in a position where for the last several months, it hasn't spiked. It has just barely, it's been basically even. And in the meantime, we created all these jobs and prices have gone up, but they've come down for energy. The fact is that we've created 10 million new jobs. Since we came to office. We're in a situation where the unemployment rate is about 3.7%, one of the lowest in history. We're in a situation where manufacturing is coming back to the United States in a big way.
Okay, so one thing about that, there are a lot of jobs that have been created, but the jobs kind of don't really exist in reality because you got to staff these jobs, number one. I see they're building new restaurants, and then they kind of just stay in a vacant state because staffing is a problem. A lot of it is people don't want to work anymore because they've become accustomed staying at home and not really doing much and getting free money from the federales. That's one part. But the other part is that there's so much fake money out there, monopoly money, printed money out there, that there's not actually an ability to fill the demand for jobs. It's because it's unnatural. The people don't necessarily even exist to fill these jobs that have been created by all this fake money. You see what I mean? There's got to be productivity and the true demand that creates the money supply. I don't want to go too deep into that, but basically the inflation rate is giving you kind of a false sense of reality. Now here's the next clip. Are you even fit for the job? Because clearly something ain't right. Like I say, the elevator's not going to the top floor. You're a few crayons short of an entire 64 count box. All right, you're a few fries short of a Happy Meal. You're not all the way there, sir, and it's clear.
Mr. President, you are the oldest president ever.
Pretty good shape, huh?
Which leads to my next question. You are more aware of this than anyone. Some people ask whether you are fit for the job. And when you hear that, I wonder what you think.
Watch me. I mean, honest to God, that's all I think. Watch me. If you think I don't have the energy level or the mental acuity, then you know, that's one thing. It's another thing of just watch and you know, keep my schedule, do what I'm doing. I think that, you know, I don't, when I sit down with our NATO allies and keep them together, I don't have them saying, wait a minute, how old are you? What did they say? You know, I mean, it's a matter of, you know, that old expression, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. I mean, I respect the fact that people would.
Now, I thought he was getting that wrong as far as that phrase, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. That's an actual phrase, though. I mean, but at what point in history was that phrase popular? You're talking about 1940s? I mean, you're talking about things that were popular in your childhood. Just like when he said kids don't have the phonograph playing when they go to bed. Phonograph? I mean, we didn't skip past the cassette tape, 8-track, Walkman, CD player, MP3, iPod, phonograph. You're giving these references that are at least 70 years old. Where is your mind at? And that's the point. That's the point. People see that your mind is not really in 2022. Your mind is somewhere else, and you're an old person. Nothing against somebody that's elderly, but at a certain point, some people that are elderly have these kind of problems, and it's evident. And it's not like we're trying to be ageist. We're just being realists.
Would say, you know, you're old, but I think it relates to how much energy you have and whether or not the job you're doing is one consistent with what any person of any age would be able to do.
Not doing a very good job.
How would you say your mental focus is?
Oh, it's focused. I haven't, look, I have trouble even saying to myself, my own head, the number of years. I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly. I mean, it's just not, I haven't observed anything in terms of, there's not things I don't do now that I did before, whether it's physical or mental or anything else.
Denial is not just a river in Egypt. I promise it's not. Now, here's another clip. Oh, this was a big one talking about Taiwan, because he's saying that we would defend them if they were invaded by China. But that is the wrong thing to say, because China's like, oh, for real, you going to do that? All right, go ahead. Try that. Try it and see what happens.
What should Chinese President Xi know about your commitment to Taiwan?
We agree with what we signed on to a long time ago, and that there's a one China policy, that Taiwan makes their own judgments about their independence. We are not moving, we're not encouraging their being independent. That's their decision.
But would U.S. forces defend the island?
Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack.
After our interview, a White House official told us U.S. policy has not changed. Officially, the U.S. will not say whether American forces would defend Taiwan. But the commander-in-chief had a view of his own. So unlike Ukraine, to be clear, sir, U.S. forces, U.S. men and women, would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion.
Yes.
Wow. And it's hilarious. They had to like edit that. They had to put the like a disclaimer in there. It was like, okay, he said that, okay, that's cool, but the White House says we stand with China, one China policy, all this and that, because that right there could start a war. So, they got to go behind them. And, you know, stuff like that, when they go behind the president and fix what he says from the White House, that makes him also look like he's not really in charge, incompetent, and too elderly to really be in office. That goes back to the whole thing about, are you even fit for the job, sir? Clearly you're not. Now, here was a really, really big one. Really big one. I almost forgot about this one. He says that the pandemic, the scandemic, plandemic, whatever you want to call it, is over. It's a wrap.
Mr. President, first Detroit Auto Show in 3 years.
Yeah.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over. If you notice, no one's wearing masks. Everybody seems to be in pretty good shape. And so I think it's changing, and I think this is a perfect example of it.
Mr. President.
So Ain't no more pandemic, scandemic, whatever. Throw away your mask. That's what he's saying. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what he's saying, but it seems to be pretty clear. Normally he's clear as mud, but that right there was clear as a morning sunshine. Okay, it's over with. Straight from the proverbial horse's mouth. That was something. Joe Biden on 60 Minutes. Like I said, it was not a live thing. It was pre-recorded. So I'm sure there were times where he's kind of like just stumbling off in the distance, looking lost in the sauce, looking like he doesn't know what's going on and sounding the same way where they cut out. But even with all of that, they still had to jump in and fix what he said about the whole thing with Taiwan. That's crazy. But again, when you're not really in charge, when you're not really in charge of your own faculties in your brain, that kind of thing happens. And that's exactly why people are saying that he's not fit for office. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Did you watch the entire 60 Minutes interview with Joe Biden? If you did, what are your thoughts? If you saw the clips and whatnot, what do you think about those? You guys know where I'm at. This guy, I mean, come on. The country was doing much better before him. The job situation, the inflation situation, our national security, our international relations, everything was better under Trump. You could be a Trump supporter or not, but the reality is the reality. It doesn't matter who you like or don't like or how you identify. Reality is reality, regardless of from who the reality is witnessed and experienced. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.